Well, Mr. Sam, it's nice to meet you, and we appreciate you sitting down with us at the Examiner and telling us a little bit about your time in service. And one of your friends contacted us and told us that you have a pretty special birthday coming up. So when is that?
August 11th.
And how young are you going to be on August the 11th?
A week from today, I guess. This Friday. It's a week from today.
And which birthday are you celebrating?
100.
100 years old. Fantastic. Yes, and so I understand that you did some time in the service. Could you tell us a little bit about that and about your yearbook you have there?
Yeah. Well, actually, I was flying was B-20. Was a crew member of a B-24 bomber, a 10-man crew, and we flew 25 missions bombing. We stationed in England. Flying out of England, bombing factories in Germany. We bombed Berlin twice, and it's pretty tough over there. The Germans had big ground guns all over the country. So in the missions, we were in the air 8 and 10 hours at a time, and you're under fire all the day, in, out. You never go in without. They had guns all over the country, so you couldn't get around them. You had to put up with the ground guns all the way in. They could fire hard and you could fly. So, and then when you get in between the ground guns, then that's when the fighters would jump you, German fighters. They won't attack when you're in the fire because they could get shot down too. They just spray the sky with them shells.
Oh, no.
And man, I tell you, those things, they're awful. They can get so close to you, the plane just actually rocks. But thank God we never got a direct hit in one of them. But on that one particular mission, 2 of us, the tail gunner and me, both got shot at the same time.
You were shot?
Yeah, I got wounded once. So did the tail gunner. But one German Messerschmitt 109 got on the tail end of us, and man, he just almost shot us down, I tell you.
What year was that in?
1944, I think that happened.
Was that toward the end of your service? Is that why you left the service, or?
No, ma'am. That happened on you have to fly 25 missions before they will ground you.
Okay.
So that was my 23rd mission. I got shot, so I went to the hospital and I stayed there, I don't know, maybe a week or so, but it took, the bullet that hit me actually hit one of the braces on the plane and slowed it down, and it still had enough force to knock me down, but it drove about 15 pieces of shrapnel in. It took rivets and everything else out of that arm from the plane, and then I had to go back after the hospital. I had to go back. They made me fly them other 2 missions before I quit, so... Okay. And I flew those other 2 missions, and I was grounded. But so many boys, the stress is tremendous because every time you go over there, so many planes get shot down. And you just have to figure, this. Every time you go down that runway, you almost figure this is my last day to live because you don't know how many planes are going to go down. But thank God we finished. The crew finished. The crew finished about 2 days before I did because I was in the hospital when they finished them. And I had to fly replacement with a couple of other crews to finish up. But they sent me back to still with the stitches in my arm.
How old were you at this time?
19 years old. I was over there.
You were 19 when you enlisted?
January, yeah. Yes. Well, I was 19 when I was overseas flying. Mm-hmm. In fact, I spent my 19th birthday, I was deep over Germany bombing a factory and being shot at. And I said, man, what a way to finish it. Celebrate a birthday.
So whenever you got out of the service, you came back home here to Beaumont?
No. They sent us back to, I think, in Amarillo. They was mustering everybody out. So they had millions of guys to do, so they just took certain, as they came to them, it took months before they got around to letting everybody go. But they sent us to Amarillo, and lo and behold, they turned around and had all these forest fires broke out in the state of Washington. So they took all of us that just come out of action and sent us up there to fight forest fires. And man, I'll tell you, the guys were torn up. A lot of them had nervous breakdowns over it, and they sent us back to Amarillo to train. They were going to train us in B-29 and send us to the South Pacific to fight again. And the guys just couldn't take that. They couldn't stand it. And every day somebody would have a nervous breakdown. It was just, I don't know. The stress was tremendous.
How did you handle that yourself? How did you get through that how did you handle that?
Well, just like anybody else. I mean, I didn't have any problems with, nervous breakdowns or anything like that. I just did what I was told to do. That's what you're supposed to do in the service. So we went up there and we fought forest fires for a few months, and we were stationed in Spokane, Washington. And this captain we couldn't get mustered out. So he went to Baxter General Hospital and he arranged to get us discharged up there. So we got discharged up there. They paid us off and everybody took off for home. And they let you have a car then after Germany surrendered. And I had a little 41 convertible Ford. And I just toured the country coming home. I said I was free. I just wanted to see everything. No, I went to Yellowstone National Park and all kinds of different places and just took a few weeks off before I got home.
Were you a single man at the time, or had you already met your wife?
Yeah, I was single then. I married after I got back. We had 3 kids. 2 of them are still living. One lives here in Beaumont. The son, one lives in Houston. Now, one lives in Houston. She's married. They come over every week. She cleans the house. He works out in New York.
Oh, so nice. We noticed how beautiful it is
Oh,
here.
God, they really helped me out, I tell you. And, of course, my son in Beaumont, he takes me everywhere I need to go. And my kids have really been good to me.
So tell me, how was life after the service? What did you do? What was your career as a civilian?
Well, I just went to work, man.
Yeah.
I retired from Sears.
Okay.
I worked at Sears, God, I don't off and on twice. My sister had a grocery store out in South End, and my brother was with her, and he died. And she was by herself. She had pretty good business going, and I was at Sears at the time, so I quit Sears to go help her in the store.
What store was that?
It was the store. Her name was my stepsister, Odo's Grocery.
What's the name of it?
ODDO.
Okay.
Her name was Anna Odo. You could spell her first name and last name backwards or forwards. And Robert Ripley had a piece in the paper at the time, and he put that in the paper.
So do you come from a military family, or are you the first to serve in your family?
No, ma'am, I was the first to serve. I had one other brother when he was in the Navy.
Okay.
He was in the medical corps in the Navy.
And did you always know that you wanted to serve?
Huh?
Did you always know that you wanted to serve when you were younger? Is that something that you
No,
wanted
not
to
really.
do?
Just when war broke out, I knew, they called me. I knew I had to go.
So that's how it happened. War
Yeah.
broke out, and they just called everybody and said, "Let's go."
Right. That's what they did. They called them. I don't know where they got the names and all, but they notified everybody. You had to be at the courthouse at a certain time of the day. You got on the bus, and they took you to Houston. That's where they ended up Houston. We ended up San Antonio, where they take you, examine you and everything, be sure you're fit to go in the service. And he asked me where I wanted to go, and I said I wanted to go to the Air Force. I really wanted to go to pilot training school. I wanted to be a fighter pilot, but they needed bombers and crews so bad in England that that's where they sent all of us. We trained.
So what was your official title, like your official job title?
I was a waist gunner.
Waist gunner. Okay.
Yeah, had rank of staff sergeant.
Well, tell me about these medals that you have here.
Well, the Air Medal, I have 4 times awarded that. You get the medal when the rest of the time you get a ribbon with a little cluster on it, but I don't know what happened to the ribbon. So, but anyway, the Distinguished Flying Cross, you have to finish flying your 25 missions before you get that. That's the highest award you get for flying is the Distinguished Flying Cross. And of course, the Purple Heart is being for wounded.
So tell me how things have changed in Beaumont over 100 years. A lot of us, we're not going to see that perspective. So,
well, ma'am,
100 years in Beaumont.
I can remember penny postcards and 3-cent stamps that far back. But of course, and we lived in the South End. That's where the store was. And I don't know, what to tell you. Just worked all my life. And I was working at Sears when they closed up and moved out to the mall. Well, they let everybody go from the store downtown. And so I was out of work, and I was just home one day and messing around. And somehow or another, I just went out to that little craft show that Larry Tinkle had down there on 105 at the time. And I said, this is an idea. So I had some old lumber in the yard, so I made a little trunk out of it and took it there. The first one I had, a little trunk out of pine, and some little girl bought it for $100. Well, I got an idea from that. From then on, I started making trunks. I made them out of cedar and walnut, and God knows how many I made, I tell you, just over the years. 27 years of that. And we travel all over. Winnie, Canton, San Antonio, Corpus Christi, everywhere the shows were, we went to them.
How long were you and Miss Frances married?
46 years. And she died of cancer.
I'm sorry to hear that. You said she just passed a few years ago?
Huh?
She just passed a few years ago?
3 years ago.
And you said right here in this room is where she would do her sewing?
Mm-hmm.
And she made clothes and you did the woodworking and y'all just teamed up together at the craft
shop outside.
Okay. Right out here is where you made them all? Okay. Fantastic.
Yeah, and that building out there. This house was small when we started. This room wasn't here. That den there was the garage. We turned that into a den, and then I built this one for sewing. This is 20 by 30. I think this is 600 square feet in this room only. So we almost doubled the size of the house, and then I built that building out there and another one in the back there for storeroom.
So before you retired from Sears, what kind of work did you do for Sears?
I was an outside salesman. I sold anything installed. I sold central heat, air units, and roofing, siding, cabinets, anything installed. So I had to go out and give estimates on it.
Okay, Mr. Sam, is there anything else that you want to tell me? You want to tell me a little bit about that book? You said you flew with some pretty famous guy there.
Yeah. Have your crew overseas. It's pretty crude. I mean, everybody was stationed. We were all stationed in England. And when you make a raid, they wake you up about 2 o'clock in the morning. And first thing you go eat, then you go to the dressing room to get all your equipment, your parachute and stuff. And after that, you go what they call a briefing. Mm-hmm. And only the crews flying that day will go in there, because that's where they tell you where you're going. And after that, you get in a truck and they bring you out to your plane. And when they call you, they tell you, you're ready to taxi out. You take off, you form, and head for Germany. And you drop your bombs. If you're lucky, you come back. If not, you just get shot down. Well, normally every time one of them planes shot down, there's 10 more die with it. It's a 10-man crew. And the weather was always 45 below zero. Oh, God, it was cold. Miserable. We had heated suits, but they helped, but they're not complete at that. I don't know if you can get warm at that temperature. And they give you a lot of time off in between raids. Keep your mind off of flying, and kind of see if you relax you. We actually had two weeks off One week they sent us to an old colonial home and home in England. Had a racetrack in the front and golf course in the back, and right on the Thames River. And they cook home cooked meals 3 times a day. They just really just get your mind off of flying. And then the other time we went to uh, Aberdeen, Scotland, and I think 6 of us went, and we were the only 6 GIs in that town, and those people really did. They showed us a wonderful time. When they found out we were flying, fighting the war for them. But that's all you did. Did you just fight your war, and in between you were on the base. Or they give you a lot of passes. We were about, I guess, 80 miles from London, and every time we get a pass, we went to London. I guess I went to London 6 or 7 times. And everybody would meet at a little place called Piccadilly Circus. That's where all the action was, all the restaurants, all the bars, and all the women and everything. Where men were, there were women there, so the women all come there too. So that's where everybody went. And as you spend your 3 days there, and you get back on a plane, come back to the base, and start it all over again. That's about what your overseas just is. Just did nothing but flying. That's all we could do.
And who is this famous actor you were telling me about?
Jimmy Stewart.
Jimmy Stewart?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know you heard of him.
He was I have. He was part of your crew?
He wasn't actually on my crew. He was one of the pilots in the squadron.
Okay.
And I've seen him 2 or 3 times, talked to him several times. But he has the picture in that book with several different crews. He never actually flew with us, but there's almost 50 crews on the base. So that's 500 men is a lot, and everybody's scattered out all over. So you don't see most of the guys too much, just the guys that are in the barracks with you. But I guess I've seen him, 2 or 3 times, talked to him, and I just always got the impression that he wanted to fly and he wanted to be in the service. So he didn't act like a movie star, he just acted like he's one of the boys, and that's what I admired about him.
So what's the secret to making it to 100 years old? You've got to have a secret.
Man, that's what everybody think. Ma'am, there's no secret. You know what I tell everybody? I said, all I can tell you, if you don't forget to wake up every morning, you'll make it. That's all I can tell you.
All right. Okay.
I don't know of any secret.
Well, we want to wish you a very happy birthday, and we really appreciate you taking time to talk with us.
Well, thank you, ma'am.
Share your time with us.